Welcome, curious souls. To Grave Vale echoes your portal to the world's most chilling mysteries and untold stories. Join us as we uncover the strange, the supernatural, and the truly unexplained. In the desolate Peruvian desert, the Nazca lines scar the earth. These massive symbols, visible only from above, stare up at the sky. An ancient message from a time when humanity barely understood flight. What were they for? Who were they for? Here we stand, facing structures that simply should not exist. Relics from a time when our ancestors, by all accounts, were building with sticks and mud. These are not just big rocks. They are monuments of precision and scale that defy our understanding of ancient human capability. They whisper of a forgotten past, a past where the impossible was made real, leaving us with a profound sense of unease. How did they do it? The question hangs heavy in the air, a silent accusation against our modern certainty. Consider the Giza Plateau in Egypt, a name synonymous with ancient mystery. Here stand the colossal pyramids, particularly the Great Pyramid of Khufu. This structure is not merely large. It is a geological event, an artificial mountain weighing approximately 6 million tons. It is composed of an estimated 2–3 million stone blocks. These are not small, manageable stones. The average weight of a single block is around 2–5 tons, roughly the weight of 2 average cars. Some blocks, especially those used for the ceiling of the King's Chamber, weigh up to 80 tons each. Imagine moving one of these without modern cranes, without heavy machinery. Now imagine moving millions of them. The sheer scale is baffling enough. But then we look closer. The precision involved in the construction of the Great Pyramid is truly astounding. It is aligned almost perfectly with true north, deviating by only a fraction of a degree. This level of astronomical accuracy would be challenging even with today's instruments. The base of the pyramid is incredibly level, with a deviation of less than an inch across its massive 756-foot sides. The angles of the sides are also remarkably consistent. How could a civilization, supposedly working with simple hand tools, achieve such geometric perfection on such an enormous scale? The casing stones, which once covered the entire exterior of the Great Pyramid, offer another layer of mystery. These were highly polished white limestone blocks, fitted together with such incredible precision that a razor blade could not be inserted between them. This created a seamless, shimmering surface that must have been a truly awe-inspiring sight. The weight of these casing stones, and the sheer number of them, adds to the puzzle of their placement. The idea that ancient workers could quarry, transport, and then cut and place these stones with such perfection, using only copper chisels and brute force, strains belief. Then there are the internal chambers and passages. The Grand Gallery, for example, is a long, sloping corridor built with massive, perfectly cut blocks of granite. The King's Chamber, also constructed of granite, features perfectly flat walls and a ceiling made of those 80-ton blocks. The sarcophagus inside the King's Chamber, a single block of granite, is cut with a precision that suggests advanced tools, far beyond what archaeologists attribute to the ancient Egyptians. Its interior surfaces are perfectly flat and smooth, with sharp internal corners that are incredibly difficult to achieve even with modern machinery. Adjacent to the pyramids lies the Great Sphinx, carved from a single, immense piece of bedrock. Its sheer size and the detail of its carving are formidable. While often attributed to a single pharaoh, the signs of extreme water erosion on its body have led some to suggest it is far older than traditionally believed, perhaps predating dynastic Egypt by thousands of years. If true, this pushes the timeline of advanced stonework even further back into an unknown past, raising even more questions about who was capable of such feats. The overwhelming feeling at Giza is one of deep, unsettling mystery. It forces us to confront the possibility that our understanding of ancient history is incomplete, missing a crucial piece of the puzzle. The stones themselves seem to echo a silent question. How? Moving across continents, we arrive at Baalbek in modern-day Lebanon, an ancient site dominated by immense Roman temple ruins. But beneath the Roman grandeur lies something far older, far more perplexing. We speak of the platform upon which the Temple of Jupiter was built, a foundation that contains some of the largest worked stones ever known. Here lies the trilithon, 3 enormous limestone blocks that form part of the retaining wall. Each of these stones is truly colossal, approximately 63 to 69 feet long, 14 feet high, and 12 feet thick. Each individual stone weighs an estimated 800 to 1,000 tons. To put that in perspective, a single trilithon stone weighs more than an entire fully loaded Boeing 747 jumbo jet. These 3 stones are not merely lying on the ground. They are perfectly placed within the foundation, elevated to a significant height. How were these behemoths moved from the quarry, which is almost a mile away, and then precisely lifted into their positions? Conventional explanations involving armies of men, ropes, and rollers simply don't hold up when confronted with such immense weights. The friction alone would be insurmountable, and the sheer number of people required to pull such a weight would be logistically impossible in such a confined space. Even with modern technology, moving and lifting stones of this size is a monumental engineering challenge, requiring specialized heavy-lift cranes and sophisticated methods. Yet, the ancients of Baalbek accomplished it. Further adding to the enigma is the Stone of the South, or Hajar el-Hibla, located in the nearby quarry itself. This stone is even larger than the trilithon blocks, estimated to weigh around 1,200 to 1,500 tons. It has been perfectly cut on 5 sides, ready to be moved, but it remains attached to the bedrock. It seems as though whatever incredible force or method was used to move the trilithon stones, it either failed for this ultimate giant, or work was suddenly abandoned. The presence of this unfinished monolith only deepens the mystery, showing that the ancients were capable of, and intended to, move stones of truly unbelievable proportions. The Roman temples built atop this ancient platform are grand, but they seem dwarfed by the sheer audacity of the foundation beneath them. The Romans themselves, for all their engineering prowess, never claimed to have built this foundation. The precise cuts and placement of the trilithon stones suggest a level of technology and understanding that defies our historical timeline. The feeling at Baalbek is one of raw power and inexplicable achievement. It makes us question, what kind of civilization possessed the knowledge and the means to manipulate stone on such a godlike scale? The answer eludes us, leaving a chilling void in our historical narrative. Finally, we journey to the high plains of Bolivia, to the ruins of Pumapunku, part of the larger Tiwanaku complex. This site stands at an altitude of nearly 13,000 feet, an inhospitable environment. Yet it holds some of the most perplexing stonework on Earth. What we find at Pumapunku are not just massive blocks, but intricately carved, almost industrially produced components. The most famous of these are the H-blocks, uniform in shape, with precise right angles, sharp edges, and perfectly flat surfaces. They look less like handcrafted stones and more like pieces manufactured in a factory. The material used for many of these blocks is andesite and diorite, incredibly hard volcanic stones. Cutting these materials today requires diamond-tip tools or other advanced machinery. Yet, the blocks at Pumapunku exhibit perfectly straight lines, incredibly precise angles, and smooth, almost polished surfaces. There are perfectly drilled holes, deep grooves, and intricate notches that suggest a level of cutting and shaping far beyond what copper or even bronze tools could achieve. Imagine trying to achieve a perfect 90-degree internal corner in hard rock with a simple hammer and chisel. It is virtually impossible without specialized equipment. The blocks at Pumapunku also display a unique modular design. Many of them have interlocking features, recesses, and protrusions that suggest they were designed to fit together like a giant, complex puzzle without the need for mortar. This level of standardized design and interchangeable parts points to an extremely sophisticated understanding of engineering and mass production. The precision required for such interlocking pieces, where every block fits perfectly into its neighbor, is staggering. It's as if these were manufactured on a template, not carved by hand. The site is littered with these meticulously cut stones, some weighing over 100 tons. The largest stone at Pumapunku is estimated to weigh 131 tons, and another is 85 tons. How were these enormous, precisely cut pieces transported to this high-altitude location and then assembled with such accuracy? There is no clear evidence of ramps, rollers, or the vast workforces that would be needed for such an undertaking using conventional ancient methods. The very notion that this was achieved by a society without the wheel, or even writing in the conventional sense, is deeply unsettling. Pumapunku does not just challenge our understanding of ancient tools. It challenges our understanding of ancient thought itself. The sophistication of the design, the precision of the cuts, and the sheer scale of the undertaking suggest a level of technological advancement that simply doesn't fit into our accepted historical timeline for this region. The stones of Pumapunku seem to scream of an intelligence, a method that was far beyond human capabilities of that era. They are a haunting echo from a time that refuses to conform to our textbooks, leaving us with a profound and disturbing question. If humanity didn't build this, then who did? The void of that answer is terrifying. We have looked at the impossible structures, the ancient stones that whisper of technologies beyond our understanding. But the story doesn't end there. Our ancestors didn't just build in silence. They spoke. They drew. They wrote. Across continents and through countless centuries. They left behind accounts, legends, and images of beings that came from the sky. These are not just scattered tales. They form a consistent pattern, a chilling thread that weaves through humanity's earliest history. They tell of visitors, powerful and strange, who descended from beyond our world, fundamentally altering the course of human civilization. The question is not if they were here, but who they were, and what their true agenda might have been. The echoes of these ancient encounters are unsettling, suggesting a shared, primordial truth that has been largely forgotten or deliberately obscured. Let us travel back to the cradle of civilization itself, to ancient Sumer, a land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, now modern-day Iraq. Here, over 5,000 years ago, a sophisticated culture emerged almost overnight. They developed the first known writing system, the wheel, complex irrigation systems, advanced mathematics, and a profound understanding of astronomy. This burst of knowledge and innovation is, by itself, a marvel, but their own records, inscribed on thousands of clay tablets, tell a far more complex and unsettling story. They speak of their gods, the Anunnaki. The name Anunnaki itself holds a profound clue. In Sumerian, it translates roughly to those who from heaven to earth came. This is not a description of ethereal spirits floating in some distant paradise. It speaks of physical beings who descended, literally, from the sky to the earth. These weren't abstract deities. They were described with human-like forms, with needs, desires, and conflicts. They lived among humans, interacted with them, and often intervened directly in their affairs. The Sumerians depicted them not as mythical concepts, but as tangible entities, often shown with wings or wearing strange attire, sometimes even descending in what appear to be flying machines. According to these ancient texts, the Anunnaki were responsible for a staggering array of advancements. They are credited with bringing agriculture, metallurgy, and the very concept of organized society to humanity. But their involvement was not always benevolent. The tablets describe a time when these gods came to Earth to mine for precious metals, possibly gold. Faced with the arduous labor, they decided to engineer a subservient workforce. The chilling implication from these ancient records is that humanity, as we know it, was not an accidental product of evolution, but a deliberately created species, genetically modified from existing hominids to serve as laborers for these celestial visitors. This concept, that we were designed, not for divine purpose, but as a practical solution to a labor shortage, is deeply disturbing. The Anunnaki were depicted as powerful, knowledgeable, and often ruthless. They built cities, established laws, and even engaged in epic battles among themselves, with humanity often caught in the crossfire. The Sumerian flood myth, for instance, bears striking similarities to later biblical accounts, describing a cataclysmic flood unleashed by these gods, with one of them, Enki, secretly warning a human to build an ark. This paints a picture not of omnipotent, all-loving deities, but of powerful, technologically advanced beings with their own agendas and internal conflicts, capable of immense destruction and selective intervention. Early Sumerian kings often claimed direct lineage from the Anunnaki, using this celestial connection to legitimize their rule over human populations. It was a clear power structure, the gods at the top, their chosen representatives ruling below, and humanity as the workforce. The texts describe the Anunnaki residing in temples that doubled as administrative centers, receiving offerings and tribute from the human populace. The awe and fear they inspired were profound, a visceral response to beings who control technologies beyond human comprehension, technologies that could bring both prosperity and utter devastation. The Sumerian accounts are a stark, unsettling narrative, presenting a history of interaction with a powerful, non-human intelligence that viewed humanity more as a resource than a creation. Moving forward in time and across different lands, we encounter another terrifying account, one that has puzzled theologians and scholars for centuries. The vision of the prophet Ezekiel, recorded in the Hebrew Bible. This is not a vague parable or a symbolic dream. Ezekiel describes a direct, vivid, and profoundly unsettling encounter with something utterly beyond his world. He was a priest living in exile by the Chebar Canal, a time of great distress and uncertainty for his people. It was against this backdrop that the heavens opened, and he saw something that defies conventional explanation. Ezekiel describes a great cloud with a fire blazing up and flashing all around. This itself suggests something powerful and unnatural. But then the details become astonishingly precise, sounding less like a spiritual revelation and more like an eyewitness account of advanced machinery. He speaks of for living creatures, humanoid in general form but with bizarre, composite features, 4 faces, 4 wings, and feet like the sole of a calf's foot, gleaming like burnished bronze. These creatures moved with a terrifying, unified motion, without turning as they went. This detail is crucial. It suggests a controlled, directional movement unlike anything organic. But the most perplexing aspect of Ezekiel's vision, and what makes it resonate so strongly with modern theories of extraterrestrial visitation, is his description of wheels within wheels. He saw these wheels on the ground beside the living creatures, described as having the appearance of beryl, a glittering, precious stone. These were not just simple wheels. They were complex, intricate, and seemed to operate with their own internal intelligence. When they moved in any of the 4 directions the creatures faced. The wheels did not turn about as the creatures went. This description strongly implies a gyroscopic or omnidirectional movement, technology that is still advanced even by today's standards. He noted that the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels, suggesting that these mechanisms were intrinsically linked to and controlled by the beings themselves. Above these creatures and their incredible wheels, Ezekiel saw something like a firmament of dazzling crystal. This could be interpreted as a transparent, protective canopy or dome, and upon this firmament, there was the likeness of a throne, and on the likeness of the throne was a likeness as the appearance of a man above upon it. This culminates in the image of an operator, pilot, seated within this complex, flying apparatus. The entire scene is one of immense power, blinding light, and overwhelming noise. Described as the sound of their wings was like the roar of rushing waters, like the voice of the Almighty, a tumult like that of an army. Ezekiel's language, though ancient, struggles to convey what he saw using the vocabulary of his time. He uses words like likeness and appearance repeatedly, emphasizing that what he witnessed was unlike anything he could adequately name. This is often how people describe encounters with technology far beyond their understanding, trying to fit the incomprehensible into familiar terms. The terrifying awe that seizes Ezekiel, causing him to fall on his face, is a primal response to an encounter with something truly alien, something technologically superior and immensely powerful. It challenges the conventional view of biblical prophets receiving purely spiritual visions, pushing us to consider a material, physical encounter with a craft and its occupants from beyond Earth, beyond written texts, in the deepest reaches of our ancient past. Humanity left behind visual records that are perhaps even more compelling because they are so direct. Across the globe, in isolated caves and remote rock shelters, our ancient ancestors painted and carved images that depict strange figures, beings that defy simple explanation. These are not just abstract symbols. They are often detailed, consistent representations that speak of something truly extraordinary seen by early humans. Consider the Tassili Eniger Plateau in the Sahara Desert, a vast expanse of rock art in what was once a fertile region. Among the thousands of images, some stand out as profoundly unusual. There are figures with large, perfectly round heads, sometimes referred to as the Great Martian God. These beings appear to wear helmets, suits, or some form of specialized headgear, with no discernible human facial features. They are often depicted alongside other, more conventional human and animal figures, emphasizing their distinct and non-human appearance. These aren't masked shamans. Their proportions and attire are consistently alien, suggesting a distinct species or type of being. The very style and context of these images imbues them with a sense of wonder and primal fear, hinting at encounters that were both terrifying and awe-inspiring. In Val Camonica, Italy, another significant collection of rock art reveals similar unsettling depictions. Here, figures with elongated, often bulbous heads are carved into the rock. Some appear to have lines or rays emanating from their heads, perhaps suggesting a light source, an aura, or some form of communication device. They are frequently shown in postures that suggest floating or flying, interacting with animals or other human figures in ways that imply dominance or a unique relationship. Again, these are not typical human forms. Their anatomical features and implied capabilities set them apart. The consistency of these strange heads and forms across different sites, despite vast geographical distances and cultural separations, is incredibly difficult to explain through conventional anthropological theories. These cave paintings and rock carvings from across the world share striking commonalities. Figures with oversized or unusually shaped heads, large dark eyes, thin limbs, and often what appear to be suits, helmets, or elaborate gear. They are sometimes depicted descending from the sky, or interacting with objects that could be interpreted as flying craft. Whether in Australia, the Americas, or Europe, the themes recur. These images are not just decorative. They are attempts by early humans to record what they considered to be profoundly significant events or beings. They represent a shared, ancient memory of encounters that imprinted themselves deeply on the human psyche. The feeling these ancient depictions evoke is one of primal mystery and a lingering sense of observation. These images are silent witnesses from a deep, forgotten past, suggesting that humanity's interactions with non-human intelligences did not begin with advanced civilizations, but possibly with our earliest nomadic ancestors. They point to a shared, global experience, a universal understanding among ancient cultures that there were visitors from beyond the stars. These visitors were not abstract deities, but beings with physical presence, strange forms, and advanced capabilities that left an indelible mark on human perception and history. Bringing it all together, the consistent narratives across vastly different cultures and times form a powerful, unsettling picture. From the advanced Sumerian civilization, detailing their gods who came from the heavens to engineer humanity, to the terrifying, technologically precise vision of Ezekiel, describing a mechanical craft and its operators, and finally to the primal, universal cave paintings depicting strange, helmeted beings. The story is remarkably similar. These aren't simply myths or metaphors to be dismissed as primitive imagination. They are attempts, sometimes crude, sometimes sophisticated, to describe encounters with something truly external, something that defied their understanding of the natural world. If these ancient descriptions are to be taken literally, then humanity has been visited, influenced, and perhaps even watched for millennia. The echoes of these ancient encounters are unsettling, prompting the chilling question, what was their true agenda? And, perhaps even more disturbing, are they still among us, still listening, still watching from the shadows of our world? The echoes from antiquity are not merely confined to impossible structures or cryptic carvings. They resonate within the very objects left behind by civilizations long gone. These are not grand monuments, but often small, intricate artifacts, mere fragments unearthed from the dust of forgotten empires. Yet, each one carries a profound and unsettling message, that ancient humanity possessed a knowledge, a technological prowess, that simply should not have existed according to our accepted historical timelines. These objects hint at a hidden stratum of understanding, a lost science, or perhaps a direct influence from sources beyond our world, accelerating human development in ways we are only now beginning to comprehend. They force us to confront the chilling possibility that our past is far more complex and far less human than we dare to believe. Our journey into these perplexing relics begins in the depths of the Aegean Sea, off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera. In 1900, a group of sponge divers stumbled upon a shipwreck from the 1st century BCE. Among the priceless statues and pottery, they recovered a corroded, calcified lump of bronze and wood. For decades, it was simply an intriguing oddity, its true nature obscured by the ravages of time and the sea. But as scientists began to meticulously clean and examine it, using X-rays and sophisticated imaging techniques, a breathtaking truth emerged. This lump was not just a curiosity. It was a mechanism of astonishing complexity, unlike anything known from the ancient world. What became known as the Antikythera mechanism is nothing short of an ancient analog computer. It is a device composed of a series of intricate bronze gears, numbering at least 30, perhaps more originally. These gears were arranged with incredible precision, allowing for the calculation and display of astronomical phenomena. Imagine a device from over 2,000 years ago, capable of predicting solar and lunar eclipses, tracking the movements of the moon and sun, and even mapping the positions of the 5 known planets of the ancient world: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn with astounding accuracy. The sheer sophistication of its design and engineering is what truly sets it apart. The gears are not uniform. They are meticulously crafted with varying numbers of teeth, some designed to follow epicyclic motion, a complex astronomical concept used to explain the retrograde motion of planets. This required a deep understanding of advanced mathematics and celestial mechanics that historians previously believed was not fully grasped until much later periods. The device featured multiple dials, displaying the positions of celestial bodies, a calendar, and even the timing of important events like the Olympic Games. It was a portable cosmos, a mechanical model of the heavens, compressed into a box roughly the size of a shoebox. The unsettling aspect of the Antikythera mechanism is not just its existence, but its isolation. There is no comparable device known from antiquity. For over 1,000 years after its creation, nothing remotely as complex emerged until the sophisticated astronomical clocks of medieval Europe. It stands as a singular, anachronistic marvel, a technological ghost in the historical record. Where did the knowledge to build such an intricate machine come from? Was it the product of a singular, forgotten genius, an Archimedes who created something so far ahead of his time that his peers couldn't replicate or even fully understand it? Or does it suggest a deeper, lost tradition of advanced engineering? A hidden stream of knowledge that briefly surfaced only to disappear again. The materials used were high-quality bronze, requiring advanced metallurgy to cast and machine such precise gears. The craftsmanship is flawless, indicating not just theoretical understanding but also practical skill in manufacturing. The very idea that such a device could be conceived and executed by a civilization supposedly limited by simpler tools and understanding challenges our entire perception of ancient Greek capabilities. It implies a dark age of technology that followed its creation, a regression where such knowledge was lost or deliberately suppressed. The Antikythera mechanism whispers of a forgotten era of technological brilliance. An era that vanished without a trace, leaving behind only this one, astonishing testament to its existence. Its silent complexity hints at a past far richer and far more mysterious than our history books record, suggesting that the wellspring of human ingenuity may have been fed by currents we still cannot identify. Our journey continues eastward, to the arid plains of modern-day Iraq, the heartland of ancient Mesopotamia. In 1936, during excavations near Baghdad, a peculiar artifact was unearthed. It was a small clay jar, roughly 6 inches tall, containing a copper cylinder which encased an iron rod. The top of the jar was sealed with bitumen, a natural asphalt. At first glance, it appeared to be an ordinary storage vessel, perhaps for scrolls or spices. But the German archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig, who examined it, proposed a truly revolutionary and unsettling theory. This was an ancient battery. The components of the Baghdad battery are deceptively simple, yet perfectly aligned to generate an electrical current. If an acidic liquid, such as vinegar, grape juice, or even urine, were poured into the jar, the copper and iron would react, creating a chemical process that produces a small but measurable electric charge, typically around 0.5 to 1.5 volts. Modern replications of the Baghdad battery, using the same materials and methods, have consistently proven its functionality. This means that nearly 2,000 years ago, around 250 BCE, a civilization in Mesopotamia may have possessed the knowledge of electricity. This discovery is profoundly anachronistic. The official discovery of electricity as a phenomenon, and its practical application, is typically attributed to figures like Luigi Galvani and Alessandro Volta in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. The idea that ancient Parthians or Sasanians had tapped into this invisible force thousands of years earlier throws a wrench into our entire understanding of scientific progress. What would they have used such a battery for? This is where the mystery deepens, and the implications become truly unsettling. One prevailing theory suggests its use in electroplating, the process of coating cheaper metals with a thin layer of gold or silver. Evidence of finely gilded artifacts from the region exists, and some show no signs of mercury gilding, a common ancient method, leading to speculation that electroplating might have been employed. Imagine the power and mystique that would surround priests or artisans who could magically turn base metals into precious ones, using an unseen force. This would have given them immense influence, perhaps even cementing their status as intermediaries with the divine. Another theory posits its use in electrotherapy or acupuncture, harnessing the mild electric current for healing purposes. The stimulating sensation of a small shock might have been perceived as a powerful therapeutic tool. There's also the fascinating, if more speculative, idea that these batteries were used for religious purposes. Perhaps they were used to shock statues or temple doors, creating a divine spark or a miraculous effect that would awe and control the populace. Imagine the chilling spectacle of a priest touching an idol, only for it to emit a spark or a faint hum, seemingly imbued with divine power. This would have reinforced the authority of the priestly class and the perceived might of their gods. The Baghdad Battery is not a singular find. Similar, though less complete, objects have been discovered in other ancient sites in Mesopotamia, suggesting that this knowledge might have been more widespread, or at least not entirely isolated. However, like the Antikythera mechanism, there is no clear, continuous historical record of this technology. It appears as a sudden, unexplained leap in understanding, a flicker of light in a period we consider technologically primitive. Why did this knowledge disappear? Was it a secret, guarded by a select few? Was it rediscovered and then lost again? Or was it, perhaps, a concept introduced from an external source? A gift of knowledge that humanity was not yet ready to fully grasp or integrate into its broader technological framework. The Baghdad Battery forces us to consider a hidden layer of ancient power, an unseen force controlled by ancient hands, hinting at secrets whispered from a time when the world was far stranger than we imagine. Our final point of exploration takes us not to a physical artifact, but to ancient texts, specifically the epic Sanskrit literature of India. Here, embedded within stories of gods, heroes, and cosmic battles, we find incredibly detailed descriptions of flying machines, known as Vimanas. These are not vague mythical references. In several ancient Indian texts, particularly the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and the Puranas, as well as more technical treatises like the Samarangana Sutradhara, Vimanas are described with a precision that defies simple mythological explanation. They speak of advanced aerial vehicles, capable of flight, maneuverability, and even sophisticated weaponry, thousands of years before the invention of the hot air balloon, let alone the airplane. The descriptions of Vimanas are varied, suggesting different types and sizes. Some are depicted as flying palaces, large multi-decked vehicles, capable of transporting many people. Others are smaller, celestial cars or chariots, capable of carrying one or two. Their shapes are sometimes described as saucer-like or cigar-shaped, eerily reminiscent of modern UFO sightings. They are said to be made of various metals, capable of hovering, moving at incredible speeds, ascending rapidly into the sky, and even traveling underwater or into space. Some texts even claim they could become invisible, further blurring the lines between myth and advanced technology. The method of propulsion for these vimanas is perhaps the most intriguing and unsettling aspect. While some are described as powered by fire and smoke, suggesting a form of jet propulsion, others detail far more esoteric and advanced systems. The Samarangana Sutradhara, an 11th century text, contains extensive chapters on vimanas, including construction details and propulsion methods. It speaks of powerful engines that used reverberating air, and even mentions the use of mercury as a fuel or a key component in a mercury vortex engine. The idea of using mercury in a propulsion system is a concept that has been explored in modern theoretical physics, suggesting a highly advanced, if currently unproven, understanding of energy and aerodynamics in ancient India. Beyond simple flight, vimanas were often depicted as instruments of warfare. The Mahabharata describes terrifying aerial battles, where vimanas deployed devastating weapons that caused widespread destruction, fire, and even radiation-like effects. The legendary Battle of Kurukshetra, for instance, involves descriptions of iron missiles and fiery bolts capable of incinerating entire armies. These descriptions echo modern warfare, complete with precision strikes and mass destruction, far beyond the capabilities of bows and arrows or simple siege engines. The sheer scale and nature of these described battles lend a chilling plausibility to the idea of technologically advanced vehicles and weaponry. The question then arises, where did these incredibly detailed and consistent descriptions come from? Were they purely the product of imaginative minds, inventing concepts thousands of years before they became reality? Or were these texts recording actual observations, experiences, or knowledge passed down through generations? The level of detail, the consistency across different epochs, and the inclusion of seemingly technical specifications, even if allegorical, make it difficult to dismiss them as mere fantasy. It suggests that ancient Indian civilization may have either witnessed such craft, operated by beings they perceived as gods, or perhaps inherited a legacy of knowledge about flight that was later lost or became incomprehensible over time. The concept of vimanas forces us to reconsider the timeline of human technological development. If these accounts are rooted in reality, it implies a profound scientific and engineering understanding existed in ancient India that vanished from our historical record. It opens the door to the unsettling possibility that humanity once soared through the skies, or witnessed others doing so, only to forget this incredible achievement, allowing it to morph into myth and legend. The vimanas, though not physical artifacts in our hands today, are textual artifacts of knowledge out of time, whispering of a forgotten sky, a forgotten power, and a past where advanced technology may have been an everyday reality, perhaps gifted by visitors from beyond the stars, whose influence shaped not just our history, but our very understanding of the possible. Taken together, these artifacts and textual records paint a deeply unsettling picture. The Antikythera mechanism, a clockwork cosmos centuries ahead of its time. The Baghdad Battery, a silent testament to lost electrical knowledge. And the vimanas, textual blueprints of ancient flight and warfare. Each piece individually challenges our understanding of ancient human capabilities. But when viewed collectively, they suggest something far more profound and disturbing: a fragmented history, riddled with technological anomalies that hint at an external influence, a superior knowledge imparted or observed, only to be lost to the mists of time. They scream of a past where humanity was perhaps not alone in its ingenuity, a past where secrets of advanced science were held, used, and then mysteriously vanished, leaving us with these tantalizing whispers of a cosmic secret, a hidden hand guiding or observing, leaving behind only these perplexing footprints of a knowledge that came from beyond our world. We have pieced together the fragments of impossible stone, read the ancient scripts that spoke of skydwellers, and marveled at the artifacts that defy their own time. But what if these weren't isolated incidents, mere chapters in a distant past? What if they are but echoes of a continuous presence, a persistent shadow stretching from the dawn of humanity to our modern age? This is the most unsettling possibility of all, that the influence we observe in the ancient world was not a fleeting moment, but part of an ongoing, silent intervention, a grand, cosmic experiment, or perhaps even a long-term surveillance project. The idea that we have never truly been alone, and that the gods of old may still be watching, is a thought that chills to the bone, transforming history from a closed book into an open, unfinished saga. One of the most profound mysteries of human history lies in the startling acceleration of our civilization. For millions of years, hominids evolved slowly, their tools rudimentary, their societies simple. Then, seemingly in the blink of an eye, everything changed. Around 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, following the last ice age, humanity took a sudden, inexplicable leap. Agriculture emerged, not in one place, but independently across multiple continents. Instead of hunting and gathering, humans began to cultivate crops and domesticate animals, leading to settled communities and a dramatic increase in population. This shift, the Neolithic Revolution, was revolutionary indeed, yet its speed and parallel development in disparate regions remain a profound enigma. Following agriculture came an equally rapid explosion in other areas. Writing systems, essential for complex administration and record-keeping, appeared in Sumer, Egypt, and other regions within relatively short historical windows. Organized societies, with intricate social hierarchies, specialized labor, and centralized governance, sprang up from what were previously tribal groups. Metallurgy, the mastery of working metals from copper to bronze, and eventually iron, provided tools and weapons that transformed human capabilities. Astronomy, mathematics, and monumental architecture, as we've seen, reached incredible levels of sophistication. This wasn't a gradual climb. It was a sudden ascent, a burst of innovation that, to many, seems almost unnatural in its speed and breadth. Conventional archaeology struggles to fully explain this sudden leap. While environmental factors certainly played a role, the speed and scope of these advancements, particularly the simultaneous emergence of similar ideas in disconnected parts of the world, present a significant challenge. Why did humanity, after countless millennia of slow progress, suddenly develop such complex skills and societal structures so rapidly. It is as if a switch was flipped, or a blueprint was provided. This isn't to diminish human ingenuity, but to question the catalyst, the spark that ignited such an unprecedented explosion of civilization. The unsettling thought is that this rapid acceleration might not have been entirely self-generated. What if the knowledge wasn't discovered, but given? What if the gods of the ancients, those beings from the sky, played a direct role in guiding humanity's development, providing the necessary stimuli, the initial lessons in agriculture, engineering, or even the very concept of organized society? This isn't a comfortable idea. It suggests that our proudest achievements might have roots outside of purely human effort, that our foundational knowledge was seeded from an external source. The rapid emergence of sophisticated civilization becomes less a testament to sole human genius and more a puzzle piece in a larger, unseen narrative, a story of intervention that profoundly shaped who we are, leaving us to wonder about the intentions behind such an unparalleled gift. The unexplained speed of our progress leaves a haunting question: were we truly the sole architects of our earliest advancements? Or were we, perhaps, guided by an unseen hand, pushing us forward into a destiny not entirely our own? This brings us to the astonishing consistency of sky visitor narratives across virtually every ancient culture on Earth. Often separated by vast oceans and insurmountable mountains, these aren't just isolated myths. They are pervasive, fundamental components of creation stories, religious texts, and oral traditions from every corner of the globe. From the Sumerian Anunnaki who came from heaven to earth and genetically engineered humanity, to the Egyptian Neteru who were described as ruling Egypt in pre-dynastic times, arriving in boats of the sky. The pattern is chillingly clear. These were not abstract, ethereal beings. They were physical entities, described as interacting directly with humanity. In Mesoamerican cultures, particularly among the Maya and Aztecs, feathered serpent deities like Quetzalcoatl were revered as bringers of knowledge and civilization. Often depicted as descending from the sky, they taught agriculture, astronomy, and the arts, seemingly appearing from nowhere to elevate human society. In Africa, the Dogon people of Mali possess an incredibly detailed knowledge of the Sirius star system, including its invisible companion star, Sirius B. Knowledge they claim was given to them by amphibious beings called the Namo, who came from Sirius. How could a remote, ancient tribe possess such specific astronomical data without advanced telescopes? Unless it was indeed imparted by external visitors. Even in places like ancient China, legends speak of celestial emperors who descended from the heavens in flying chariots, bringing laws, inventions, and guiding the early dynasties. In Australian Aboriginal Dreamtime stories, powerful beings known as the Sky Heroes are said to have created the landscape and taught humans how to live, often depicted as arriving in strange vessels. The Native American traditions, too, are replete with stories of star people or sky beings who interacted with their ancestors, sometimes benevolently, sometimes with terrifying power, imparting wisdom or demanding tribute. What makes these global narratives so compelling and unsettling is their consistency. Despite vast cultural differences, geographical isolation, and independent development, these diverse civilizations independently arrived at the same fundamental story: powerful beings, often human-like but clearly superior, descended from the sky, bringing knowledge, technology, or imposing their will. They were perceived as gods, worshipped out of awe, fear, or gratitude. They demanded respect, sometimes sacrifice, and held sway over the destinies of human populations. This widespread, consistent narrative defies simple explanation. It's difficult to attribute such universal themes to mere coincidence or independent myth-making. The alternative, far more unsettling, is that these stories are rooted in actual, shared experiences that humanity across the globe was indeed visited, observed, and perhaps even manipulated by an external intelligence. The idea of a coordinated, global visitation or a widespread series of interventions suggests a unified purpose or a common origin for these beings, challenging our understanding of our own unique development. It forces us to confront the possibility that the gods of old were not supernatural entities, but rather technologically advanced visitors whose presence shaped every continent, leaving behind a deep, collective memory of beings from beyond our world, a memory that still resonates in our most ancient tales. If these ancient narratives indeed point to a historical reality, then the question naturally arises, what happened to these visitors? Did they leave? Or did their influence merely evolve, their presence becoming more subtle, more hidden? This leads to perhaps the most chilling aspect of the unseen influence, the striking similarities between the sky gods of ancient lore and the modern phenomena of UFOs and alleged extraterrestrial encounters. It suggests that the ancient whispers from the void might not just be historical echoes, but ongoing communication, or perhaps continuous observation. Consider the descriptions of ancient chariots of fire, boats of the sky, and flying palaces, while ancient language struggles to describe advanced technology. These accounts often share visual commonalities with modern UFO sightings, craft that move silently, at incredible speeds, performing impossible maneuvers, sometimes emitting strange lights or sounds. The wheels within wheels, described by Ezekiel, eerily parallel eyewitness accounts of disc-shaped objects with rotating elements or lights. The celestial cars of Chinese legends resonate with the idea of craft operating beyond known physics. The consistency of these descriptions, across millennia, implies that the observers, separated by vast stretches of time and culture, might be witnessing the same underlying phenomenon. Furthermore, the descriptions of the beings themselves often bridge the gap. The large-headed, often thin-bodied figures in ancient cave paintings bear a disquieting resemblance to the gray extraterrestrials frequently reported in modern abduction and sighting cases. The idea of helmeted or suited figures, appearing out of strange crafts, is a recurring motif in both ancient art and contemporary accounts. This isn't just a matter of suggestive interpretation. The visual parallels are often striking and consistent, hinting at a continuity of forms, a persistent visitor or type of visitors throughout human history. Beyond physical appearance, the perceived behavior of these visitors also echoes through time. The ancient gods were often depicted as observing humanity, sometimes intervening, sometimes simply watching from above. They imparted knowledge, influenced events, or made demands, but their ultimate motives often remained inscrutable, their presence both powerful and mysterious. This aligns remarkably with modern reports of UFOs, objects observed with no clear intent, performing complex maneuvers, sometimes seeming to study human activity, or, in more extreme claims, abducting individuals for unknown purposes. The sense of being watched, of being part of a larger, unexplained agenda, is a central theme in both ancient myth and modern encounters. This continuity suggests that the forbidden archaeology and the cosmic mysteries of the past are not separate from our present. The ancient alien theory posits that the entities our ancestors worshipped as gods were, in fact, extraterrestrial beings. If this is true, then the logical conclusion is that these beings, or their descendants, may still be here. They may have simply refined their methods of interaction, moving from direct intervention to more subtle, clandestine observation, the rapid advancement of human technology in the last century, mirroring the sudden leap of ancient times, could even be seen as another phase of guided development, or perhaps a response to an ongoing stimulus. The lingering sense of an unseen influence, a persistent shadow, is perhaps the most profound and terrifying implication. It suggests that the mysteries of our past are not safely confined to history books, but are an active, ongoing reality. The gods may have never truly left. They may be watching us now, silent witnesses to our struggles and triumphs. Their intentions still hidden, their presence still a profound, unsettling enigma. The question of whether ancient gods were merely visitors from beyond our world, and if they are still watching us, hangs heavy in the air, transforming our entire understanding of reality and leaving us with a chilling awareness of a universe far more complex and far less empty than we once believed. Their presence, whether acknowledged or ignored, continues to shape our reality, a silent, pervasive force just beyond the veil of our perception. The echoes of their presence still resonate in our ruins, our myths, and our skies. The question remains, what if these whispers from the void were not just ancient tales, but a warning? And are they still listening? Thank you for daring to delve into the unknown with Grayvale Echoes. If these whispers from the past captivated you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Until next time, keep exploring the shadows.